A few days ago, I received an unexpected package at the store. When I started writing on it, I understood. It seems like Seestar sent me their new S50 Pro before its official release. So I've had one sitting here for a little while, which also meant I had to keep it hidden so customers wouldn't get an accidental sneak peek before its release. But it is finally time to actually test it. And obviously, it's cloudy outside. But the good news is that tomorrow I'm going to an astronomy festival in Saguenay. And it's about a 5-hour drive, but the skies will be much better than the Bortle 9 skies we've got here in the region of Montreal at the store. So I'm quite eager to bring my little buddy here and put it to the test, because I don't want to read what's good about it. I want to test it myself. But before I head north for my long drive, let's take a look at what actually changed with this new S50 Pro. In the box, we've got the big S50 Pro. We've got its carbon fiber tripod, a solar filter, a quick start guide, and a USB cable to charge the telescope. Oh, and in the carton packaging, there was a sticker sheet of 12 stickers. So if you're a fan of stickers, that's fun to have. Personally, I don't really mind, but they're there, so that's fun. If you've seen or used the S30 Pro in the past, the S50 Pro will look quite familiar. It uses the same white, sleek aesthetics as the S30 Pro, but in a bigger telescope. And obviously it comes with a bigger tripod, the TC20, that was sold separately for the S30 Pro. So it comes with it, which is nice. And yeah, it's just a bigger telescope. But even though it's much bigger than the S30 Pro, this telescope is still really portable. If I compare it to my usual setup, just at the back here, that one I cannot bring into the festival, but this one, no problem, it's just gonna go into car. But for extreme portability requirements, the S30 Pro still wins, but those two are still really portable telescope. Even though a nice aesthetics is already an upgrade, for me, the most important thing is what's under the hood, and it's what Seestar changed compared to the previous version of the S50, what's been upgraded. And let's go through each upgrade one by one, and I'll tell you what I find actually matters for each of them. The first upgrade is regarding the optics of the S50 Pro. If we compare it to the S30 Pro, the S50 is bigger, and since the light gathering power of a telescope is tied to its radius squared, that means that the S50 collects nearly 3 times more light than the S30 Pro, which is quite significant. The S50 Pro also moves from a 3-element APO design to a 4-element APO design. And it makes sense when we look at the other changes that Seestar made. The S50 Pro now has a much bigger sensor, which means we've got to have better optics to be able to produce an image circle big enough to have nice round stars for that big sensor. So purely from an optics point of view, that's quite a significant improvement. You can deduce from what I've said about the optics of the S50 Pro that the second upgrade is in regards to its cameras. And you've heard me correctly, I've said it in the plural form. So we now have 2 4K 8.3 megapixel cameras in the S50 Pro. And both cameras have completely different jobs. The telephoto camera is the one tied to the 50mm optics, and it's the one we're going to use for deep sky objects, the moon, the sun, where the goal is really to get the most details as possible. And with that telephoto lens, we reach a field of view of 2.8 degrees. While with the wide-angle lens, we've got a big 63 degrees field of view, and that one is really about capturing the larger scene around you. It's about context, it's about the Milky Way. So really a completely different camera than the telephoto. And the Seestar can stitch images into mosaics of up to 8K. So instead of being limited to what's inside a single frame, you can build a much larger view of the sky. I really like the idea of having two cameras into one telescope, like the S30 Pro had, because it just gives us possibilities that we did not have with the S50. With the telephoto lens, we've got details, and with the wide-angle lens, we've got context. With its wide-angle lens, the S50 Pro can now use the Milky Way mode in the Seestar app. And that's a feature that I'm really excited about because the older S50 could not do that at all. So the S50 Pro will be able to capture the Milky Way art. It will be able to do astrophotography time-lapses or star trails. And that's a nice upgrade compared. Many will ask me, well, David, I don't have access to a dark sky. Can I still take good images with my Seestar telescope? And for those of you who have used the S50 or the S30 Pro or the regular S30, you know that the answer is yes, but with some limitations. So like all the other telescopes in the series, the S50 Pro has 3 integrated filters. It has a UV IR cut filter, which essentially allows you to take images in the visible spectrum of the light. Then there is a dark filter, which allows the Seestar to take its dark calibration frames to do noise reduction. And finally, there is the dual band light pollution filter, and that is the most interesting one when you live in the city because it's gonna cut out light pollution. The downside is that this filter will mostly work on emission nebulae, but it's gonna work really well on those. So for those of you who live in the city, choose targets that are in emission and you're really gonna get the best result out of the telescope. And when you are out camping, then take advantage of the broadband targets or the Milky Way, because those will really benefit from a dark sky. The last upgrade is probably the least exciting one of the bunch, but it's one you're gonna be thankful to have every night you shoot with the Seestar S50 Pro, because the Pro version now has a 9-hour battery instead of the 6-hour battery that the S50 version had. So in other words, that means that the regular S50 was almost able to do a full night, while the S50 Pro will do a full night. And it's important to me because there's nothing more frustrating when a session ends because we lose power. But 9 hours is a rated number that's been tested at 25 Celsius degrees, and the real battery performance will depend on, well, the temperature and how hard the telescope is working. So we're going to be able to test it out at roughly 20-25 Celsius degrees outside when we are in Sydney, but we're going to have to follow up in some months when it's winter, because I really want to know after a night how much battery is left. Are we able to do a full night? So that's what changed with the Pro version of the S50 telescope. On paper, we've got a scope that will outperform the S50 and that should give us more details and as many functionalities as the S30 Pro. But at this point, that's all we've got. Paper and a telescope, and soon I'm gonna have dark sky. Now it's time to see what actually happens. Finally, that was a long road. But I'm there a bit before the festival opens, and since it's daytime, we're gonna start with solar imaging. We've got a few clouds, but it should be quite nice to go. Oh, I know. When I arrived, there was a dog too, and now it's the cat. Yeah, you can be in the shot for sure. Like you're seeing, the installation process is quite fast. Only have to screw the tripod and press the power button to power it up. And we're gonna launch the Seestar app and go to our first target, to Sun. Obviously, we've got a warning message. We need to put the solar filter, so we're gonna let the Seestar arm open, and let's add the solar filter. The telescope will then continue its go-to onto Sun, and like I mentioned, we've got two cameras, and what's nice is that with the wide field camera we can really see how the Seestar is pointing. So we gotta go a bit more to the right, and here we go. Oh, it centers the sun automatically too, so that's nice. And here is our first snapshot of the sun. There's not much activity, but we see a sunspot group on the left side of the sun near the equator. And if we compare to an image taken with the S30 Pro at the same moment, we see that there is way more details on the S50. So clearly the larger aperture telescope wins for solar imaging, and since the moon is the same size as the sun, I expect it's gonna be a similar result for the moon. But let's wait a bit for the darkness to come so that we can really test it on the moon. Now I'm finally ready to evaluate the Seestar S50 Pro since it's now dark outside. Let's now click on the solar system. I'm gonna select the moon and go to the moon. And we're gonna see the telescope slewing. Okay, we've got the church right here. Okay, let's cancel that. And we are gonna go do we're gonna go do a calibration of the device management. Sensor calibration, and we're gonna calibrate the compass. Okay, and I'm gonna turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. A bit more. Okay. Yes, complete. Okay. Now, if we go back to solar system, go to moon. Okay. Oh, it just went right through it. And it goes back to the window of the church. Let's cancel that, we're gonna go manually. Okay, just to the right. It's really convenient with the wide field camera. And a bit slower. No, fast. Oh, I've got it right here. And here we go. Let's autofocus.
Autofocusing. Autofocus completed.
And here we go. We're gonna take a snapshot. And we got our lunar disk, and as expected we've got a disk that's about the same size as the sun. We got great details. I really love the Terminator line, so between the shadows and the illuminated part of the moon, that's where most of the 3D effect is, and colors are great. So yeah, as expected, looks great. But now gotta go. It's time for the show at the festival. The night at the festival is now over, and my good friend Stefan, who was the organizer and a musician at the festival, just showed me a really dark site where we can see the Milky Way with our eyes. So that's going to be the perfect place to test out that feature for the S50 Pro. We'll start our first test with a nebula, the Pacman Nebula, using the light pollution filter. It's going to be a great target to put the S50 Pro through its paces. The framing is already better than what we can get with the S30 Pro, but the real question is how much more details we can pull out with the larger aperture. I'm gonna stop the stacking now to test out the one-tap AI enhance feature. So let's launch that. We're gonna recrop, and I'm gonna try to have a tighter frame. So let's do that. Like that, it looks good. And that's it. We're just gonna let the AI enhance do its thing. I won't modify anything, so we can modify the contrast, brightness, saturation. I'm just gonna leave it as is and save my image. For comparison, this is the stack frame that wasn't processed, and this is the AI processed one in the Seestar app. It was so easy, and the result is really good. Now I'm gonna take some more targets before the end of tonight and include some comparison shots with the S30 Pro. And yeah, let's just enjoy the rest of the night with the Seestars. Finally, I am back at the store for the little recap of the S50 Pro, and overall I'm quite satisfied with my first impression. The telescope has a lot of potential. The addition of the wide field camera was so nice to have because I was able to take pictures of the Milky Way without having to carry around a wide field setup. Obviously, the 4K cameras, that does make the difference in the images compared to the HD sensor we had on the S50, so that's another significant jump compared to the older model. And I didn't have to worry about the battery. So yeah, overall, this telescope I will keep into my collection, and I'm quite excited to test it out even more if the weather cooperates in the next few weeks, especially the equatorial mode, which will allow me to put a lot more time onto targets, which was simply not feasible for me at the festival because of the timeline that was really tight to produce this video. So yeah, if you got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or you can also write to me. And on that note, really satisfied and clear skies.